Coming to you live from the Silicon Square in East Legon, Accra. Welcome to MX24 News. My name is Marie-France Fojo. Coming up, GIJ students say they will petition Parliament if the school authorities do not reduce fees in the next 14 days. Also, there was drama at the EC head office over anomalies in the nomination forms of the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. We will be speaking to the Electoral Commission and the NDC on that. Also in the bulletin, more parliamentary candidates filed their nominations. We'll bring you updates on that story, details of these and many more coming up shortly. Now to our first story, authorities of the Ghana Institute of Journalism remain unshaken amid protests from students over the increment of the 2020-2021 academic year fees. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, tertiary institutions truncated physical engagement between lecturers and students and resulted to online studies, which came at data cost to students. As it stands, it is unclear when tertiary institutions will resume, but some schools have already announced reopening dates, announcements of fees and deadlines for payment. But spokesperson for the concerned tertiary students of GIJ, Abdullah Abdul Rahim Naninche, says they are giving the authorities 14 days to reverse their decision, or they will go all out, including petitioning Parliament.
That's the Dean of Students. He boldly told us that these agitations, no matter what we do and all that, as for the fees, it has been increased and it will be increased. And so we feel that the school has taken an entrenched position. A negotiation is between two parties who are willing to negotiate. And it cannot only be from the student front who is willing to negotiate. We realize that the SRC has not been bold enough to fight for us. And so we have decided to take this upon ourselves and fight our own fight. So yes, the schools are aware. The SRC has been engaging the school. We as on individual basis have been engaging the school. And when Aswan met the Dean of Students, he told us that there was nothing that was going to be done about it. And this is not the first time we are agitating about anything. There are lots of issues that deserve us to agitate. But anytime we agitate, I think the school believes that it will just end online and nothing will happen. At this time, we are willing to see this throughout. We are willing to make sure that the many other students who cannot afford the fees will receive justice. This struggle is not about those who can pay for fees. It's a struggle against injustice. And so whether you have the money to pay or not, you must fight against this increment. And that's what we are fighting for. There are many avenues available to us to make our concerns heard. The first is to have informed the school with the school rules. We have released the first statement which we believe the school has received. There are many avenues and people we can petition. If all that doesn't work, of course, there are many other things we can do. But of course, I cannot jump the gun. We are taking it a step at a time, and I can promise you that we are willing to go any length, any means necessary to be able to do this. I can assure you that everybody that needs to hear our cries. As I speak to you, we have been able to meet and solicit for support from the Economic Fighters League. And we are saying that anybody that wants to help us, anybody that's willing to hear our call, no matter the political party they belong to, no matter the religious divide they belong to, we will petition them and we will seek for their support.
Meanwhile, the Fees and Charges Amendment Act requires various public universities to submit their proposed fees to Parliament for approval. Now, joining us via phone is the ranking member on the Education Committee, Peter Nochu Kotoe. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing?
Welcome to MX24 News. Can you first of all confirm whether or not school authorities from the Ghana Institute of Journalism submitted their fees to Parliament?
Yeah, thank you very much. As Parliament, we have a procedure. And as far as approval of fees is concerned, it is a collaboration between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Finance. So whatever fees any institution, public institution, want to charge, will have to channel it through the Minister for Education. Then the Minister of Education will submit it to the Ministry of Finance. Then the Minister of Finance will now incorporate it into a legislative instrument, which we call regulations. And that will be laid in Parliament and referred to the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation. Then they will hold a meeting, then recommend the approved fee to the plenary for adoption. And if that is adopted, then it becomes effective. And as far as I know, no new LI has come from the Ministry of Finance as far as new fees for tertiary institutions like the GIJ is concerned. We have not, as a committee, received anything of that nature from the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, but this issue seems almost recurrent. Are there any interventions that could be effected from your side as committee?
As a member of the Policy Legislation Committee, we don't have any intervention that we can make. It is the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Finance who should work on this. I remember very well we increased fees last year, which was for the ending or the academic year that has ended. And if there's going to be an increment in fees, then they must come back again to Parliament. And I don't know why they don't want to go through that process, because it is a law that every public institution that charges fees and levies must get whatever fee approved by Parliament. And that is what is the practice. So the students have a point, and it is the responsibility of GIJ now to explain to them why they are charging new fees. So as a committee, it will be difficult for us to put ourselves into this matter. But the Ministry of Education must resolve the matter between the students and the school authorities.
Okay.
So the committee cannot go in as we sit now or we are talking.
Okay, you mentioned that the students have a point. So should they take a decision not to pay the new fees? Do they have the points, and are they right?
Although they have a point, they must engage the school authorities very well in this matter before they can take any action. So engagement is very, very important. There may be a reason for an increment, and if they agree, then normally what we do or what we expect them to do is to engage the students, university authorities to engage the students in whatever they want to do, especially with regards to monetary affairs. Because some of the students, or many of them, find it very difficult to get money to pay their fees. So the slightest increment can affect their continuous stay in the institution. So they must engage them long in time so that they will know that we have agreed on this. This is the way forward. So I think they should know. And more importantly, too, there are some other charges that they pay. Is the increment on the fee that was approved by Parliament last year, or these are other charges which are not covered by the approved rates in Parliament or fees in Parliament. So we need to know all those allegations. And when we aggregate this, then we will know actually where the increment is coming from and on what are they putting the increment. So it is important that the students are taken through the increment, make sure that they are not made to pay above what is expected of them.
Okay. Before I let you go, it is the case that some institutions do not have a student governing body, and therefore authorities have refused to engage them. What options would you say is available to such institutions?
So as far as I know, every public institution has a student representative council, and they are always on their school management boards or council. So they are always represented. And I'm sure it is because of this that they are able to dictate that they are going to pay more. So what is important is that the student leadership must engage the university or college authorities to know where the increment is coming from. So they all have a say in it. They are well represented, and they have people who can talk for them. And I think if they do that, they will come to an agreement with the university authorities.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That's the ranking member on the Education Committee, Peter Nochu Kotwe. Moving on, there was drama at the Electoral Commission on Wednesday when General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu-Nketia, turned up to file nomination for the NDC flag bearer and former President John Dramani Mahama. The former president could not make it himself because he is on a 4-day tour to the Western North region. But EC Chair Jean Mensah did not take the former president's absence lightly, insisting that he should have been there personally to file. But Johnson Asiedu-Nketia disagreed, and that led to some drama. Our reporter Ifwa Evans-Shinri was present and has more in the following report.
General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress showed up late at the Electoral Commission to file the nomination. Media men had to wait for hours because the EC claims the party had to make some corrections in their document. The General Secretary of the party, Johnson Asiedu-Nketia, showed up after 4 p.m. instead of 11 a.m. with some executives of his party. Before she received the forms from the NDC, EC boss Jean Mensah said she would have wished the party's presidential aspirant had called personally at the commission to file to enable him to express his concerns as had been carried in the media. She said the process was one of the most important activities towards the December 7 elections.
As a commission, we would have wished that the flag bearer of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, and or his vice presidential candidate, Professor Nyando MP, would have been here personally to present their nomination forms, as it would have allowed us an opportunity to engage, particularly with the former president, on some of his concerns which we have noted in the media. However, we welcome you both warmly to the commission. This year, the commission has set up 2 teams which have been tasked to review all forms submitted. We have no doubt as a commission that the process will be transparent, fair, and peaceful.
But General Secretary of the party, Johnson Asiedu-Nketia, who was obviously unhappy with the EC boss's comment, said he does not think it is necessary for the flag bearer to show up when he can handle affairs of the party in his absence.
Is she telling us that she is not aware of the contents of the regulations they have handed over to us, that a flag bearer can come or he can choose his representative to come? Why? Has he written to the flag bearer to come and address some concerns? What type of this thing is that?
The PPP presidential candidate, Bridget Stupin, was at the EC personally to file her nomination. Candidates will continue to file their nomination till the 9th of October 2020. This year, the Commission has set up 2 teams tasked to review all the forms submitted, namely the technical team and IT team. The technical team has been tasked to scrutinize the forms to ensure that the presidential candidates meet the qualifications as set out in the law.
Still on matters in the lead-up to the December 7 elections, Nyando MP St. George earlier today filed his nomination amid massive cheers from some constituents who have promised to ensure he retains the seat in the December polls. The mood in Nyando is one of sheer ecstasy as the MP prepares to file his nomination to contest the polls. My colleague Eko Anan is in the constituency and joins us via phone. Hello, Eko.
Yes, hello.
Welcome to MX24 News. Can you paint a picture for me as is happening at Nyando currently?
Well, it's a carnival-like atmosphere in Nyando, where almost everybody in this town has trooped to the Honorable St. George's residence to usher him into the institution to file his nomination form. Now, I can report to you that what we're witnessing here today is something I haven't witnessed before, where we have over hundreds of motorbikes leading the convoy. We have several people who get their vehicles to join this convoy drive through this streets of Nyando to file the forms on behalf of the Honorable St. George. He himself is also part of this entourage, and we are hopeful that after this whole process is said and done, he will share with us a word or two. But if you can hear from the background, you can get enthusiastic supporters who are chanting, thinking his name, saying that they would vote for that, they would give him another opportunity to represent them in Nyando so that he can continue his good work.
Okay, do we know if he has any lined-up activities following the filing of his nomination, or that's about it?
Also, right from the filing, I believe he's going to address the numerous supporters who have turned out to witness this historic process. Now, what we are also picking up is that we also take advantage of this, of the opportunity that has presented itself to also donate some items to the supporters and to the entire conferences.
Okay, do we know if his contenders from the other parties have already filed their nominations and who these persons are?
Also, our sources at the EC office tell us that the NPP's Alex Mate has already filed his nominations, and they also tell us that in the next few days or in the next few hours, right through to tomorrow, when the process ends, they are also hopeful that those who picked forms and haven't yet filed them will be able to do so before the deadline ends tomorrow.
Thank you very much. That's our correspondent, Eko Anan. Still on election-related stories, independent candidate for Sekri Bodi constituency in the Western North region, Emmanuel Uzuansa, also filed his nomination earlier today. The former NDC member was disqualified from the contest in the 2020 parliamentary primaries by the party's National Executives Council. After filing his nomination, he promised to create jobs for the youth when voted to power.
Menima chitafo nyina ka bo mu se yeba na yeso abaye ye fale no yeba fale no nso yisi mpanimfo ahwehwe me krata mu nyina unu se nyamde ba ye no.
I came here this morning with my supporters to file my forms. After going through all the processes, the EC has verified and accepted all my documents. As I stand here, I'm only waiting for the balloting to know where I will appear on the ballot paper. My message is hope for the youth. They know what I can do and they know what I've done. I will do my best when they vote for me come December 7th. Omotu abanu mami wie na 7th no January yadimisi akonwa so a eho eno mbe hunu se adwuma me ye amadwen se me ba meboa amomo anya bia.
Still on election, former President John Dramani Mahama has urged Ghanaians to vote out the Akufo-Addo-led government to safeguard the future of the country. At the mini rally in Sekri also to officially launch his campaign for re-election, John Mahama said the 4-year term of the Akufo-Addo government has been full of bad corruption, unemployment and collapse of several businesses. Here's a report by my colleague Jonah Iledi.
With 60 days to the general elections, the NDC's flag bearer, John Mahama, has officially launched his nationwide door-to-door campaign in the western north town of Sekri. John Mahama, in 2016, became the first president in Ghana's history to lose an election to the opposition after just one term. At the launch of the campaign, John Mahama noted the performance of the Akufo-Addo government makes Ghanaians yearn to have him back. He accused the government of corruption and doing very little to address the unemployment situation and closing down local businesses.
We've come a long way in the last 10 years, but we are today facing a clear risk of being stuck at this low level of development. This is our major vulnerability as a nation. This government has made no real effort to begin to create an economy that generates prosperity for all our people. There has been very little investment in innovation and creativity, the main drivers of prosperity, and we're still witnessing many cases of institutional failure. To create sustainable and ever-growing prosperity, something we all deserve, it requires building a robust social and economic infrastructure.
The NDC has resolved to embark on a door-to-door campaign to share their messages to Ghanaians. This, they believe, will enable the party contact all and sundry despite the constraints of the COVID-19 restrictions. Here is Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, confident of victory with a free, fair election.
He served this country as member of parliament. He served this country as minister of state. He served this country as Vice President of the Republic, and he served this country as President of the Republic. And he will serve this country, inshallah, as President of the Republic come January 7th.
John Mahama, among others, has promised to legalize Okada as a massive job creation policy, establish a $10 billion infrastructure fund, and construct mortuaries in Zongo communities as part of his manifesto pledge to Ghanaians, based on which he should be voted into power for a second term. MX Newsroom, Jonah Iledi reporting.
In a related development, political marketing expert Dr. Kobe Mensah has noted that political parties have not done much to take advantage of the potential of digital platforms to reach out to electorate. According to sharing information on social media platforms is not enough in political campaigns, particularly as the pandemic has made it impossible to meet large electorates.
Good morning.
How would you measure the level of innovation that have been deployed, and what more would you want to see political parties do ahead of the elections in terms of campaigning and getting their messages across? Because we know, just so I bring this in, the NDC just launched a door-to-door campaign. That is their way of dealing with the COVID and still getting to send their messages across. But what more would you want the political parties to do to be able to get in touch with the voting public?
The door-to-door is of campaign.
When we return, we'll bring you demands the minority has been making on the missing excavator story. Stay tuned.
Opinions are like onions. Everybody has one.
Abortion is a no-no. As a human being, you must take responsibility for all your actions and inactions. Your misjudgment shouldn't be enough grounds to take a life.
No. I disagree with you because look, if you do not legalize it, people will go to black protest anyway, who might end up not just kill the baby, but the mother as well.
Why should I waste my time joining a long queue under the hot sun to vote for a political party, knowing very well that nothing would be achieved at the end of the day?
Something will be achieved. It's your civic responsibility to turn out to vote. Vote and vote for a good leader.
Governments need to cater to every graduate, diversify the economy, invest in other sectors.
But the government cannot do it all. That is why we need the youth to take up the mantle and set up their own businesses. That is how we will create economic viability.
Here on Opposing Views, we take your views, my views, and the views of the experts and put them in the right context for you, our discerning viewers.
No, this is not business as usual. This is a different kind of business. From the global stock market, to our central bank, to insights on insurance and investment, Spotlight is a show for you. Here, we look beyond the numbers. On Spotlight, we'll tell you the complexity behind the figures. On Spotlight, we examine hardcore financial issues. Join me, Philip Nanfuri, on MX24, together with policymakers and experts as we talk business.
All over the world, young people like you and I are making great change.
The president has been to this ungrateful party.
Bakassi here wants power, but he doesn't want to get his hands dirty.
Your campaign has been saddled with a lot of issues and it won't survive another scandal.
Is there something I should know? I want to know Anagoma.
She's only doing something we're all afraid to do.
Anaba, so what kind of lessons are we putting out there for our youngsters?
Most of us don't even know what we want until it hits us in the face.
Every single time he comes around, she just turns into this emotional, wishy-washy, love-struck thing. That is exactly what she needs.
You're president for 8 years. You make me president for another 8. You rule for 16 years. You continue. What you finish? Build your legacy. You have your way with me. You use me as usual. Are you going after a man who has championed your political career to this point? A man who got you sponsors to back your ambitions? What the hell? Hey! Don't just need to speak. It's a blatant disregard for due process, Charlotte. And I'm not having it.
You're welcome back. Now, some chiefs in the Upper East region have assured President Akufo-Addo of a re-election come December 7 based on his achievement in the region. The chiefs believe the president has relieved families of their burdens with the introduction of policies such as free SHS, One Village, One Dam, and others. There's more in this report by our Upper East regional correspondent, Castro Senyala, read by Ellen Domina.
In the Kusok traditional area, Chief of Binaba, Naba Akobori Moses V, who spoke on behalf of the Traditional Council, said the work of the president, especially the introduction of the free senior high school policy, will not be forgotten.
People of Kusok, particularly the Boko West, will never, ever forget of you. You cannot, Mr. President, go around distributing money to all of us. No. But you have kept money in our pockets because our cattle are left. They are no more sold to pay school fees. You have paid for everybody. Mr. President, we thank you so much. If the people of Kusok will not forget of anything, this one alone, we will never forget. Mr. President, you will come back and you will come back and will continue to come back.
Paramount Chief of the Talensi traditional area, Tong Rana Kubu Song, on his part, named the president Promise due to what he describes as the numerous developmental projects he's initiated since assumption of office.
A new president from this palace. Step writing the whole of the upper the Congo inclusive. Therefore, I want to say that you have already cleared the way for your next step. Once you have entered this palace, you are the first to enter this palace in this time of the period where political campaign has started. And therefore be the first, you shall be the first at the end of the war.
Responding to these praises, President Akufo-Addo said he's honored to be in the region and hope his visit will lead to his re-election.
I'm very, very grateful for the idea of being the first of the political leaders to come here to pay his respects to you, to come to see you. And I'm hoping it will be an indication that far more for Nana is going to happen. I'm particularly grateful for the honor and the title you have conferred on me.
President Akufo-Addo ending that report by my colleague Castro Senyala, read by Ellen Domina. And on that note, we draw the curtain on today's edition of MX24 News. My name is Marie-France Fojo. Do enjoy the rest of your day.